want to talk about the latest instalment of the psychodrama that is becoming the Reform Party. And I must say, I am biased in this because everybody knows my opinions on Zia Youssef, everybody knows my opinions on Nigel Farage, and I'm not too impressed with Lee Anderson, and I've never really liked Richard Tice and his cheerleader girlfriend Isabel Oakeshott, who seems to be trying to cause all sorts of problems for Rupert Lowe. So I'm very much, even though I'm a UKIP member, I'm very much looking at what Rupert Lowe's doing with great interest, because anyone that's listened to what I've said for the past 6 months or a year has said no one party can do what needs to be done. And I keep going back to Nick Buckby's line, we need a grand coalition. And I think what's happening, what seems to be shaping up, and what I hope shaping up, and if it's done right, it'll be almost impossible to sabotage, because the people that are doing it will have such a broad following that you will literally get everybody from UKIP, which is me and that lot, right the way through to the right wing of the Conservative Party, the rump of Reform, joining some sort of movement, some sort of electoral bloc that will win the next election and will do what needs to be done to take the country back. I've always said, as much as I like, a lot of my friends are in Reform, so I'm not attacking Reform, I'm not attacking Reform members. I just think there's something at the very heart of Reform that has not got what it takes to save the country. And I've always said that, and I've always maintained that position. And that's not attacking the individuals. At the end of the day, Nigel Farage did a great job of Brexit. Never going to take that away from him. We obviously haven't had Brexit fully delivered. Northern Ireland got left behind, etc., etc. But you've got to give him credit where credit's due. But I really do think different thinking and different personnel are needed now. And I think those personnel are Ben Habib. I think they're Nick Tinconi. I think they're Rupert Lowe. I think they're Liz Truss. Possibly Jenrick, if we can forgive him what he did to us when we were doing the hotel protests. And obviously Suella Braverman and numerous others that are actually in Reform right now. I predict, and I could be wrong, and this is where, when you make predictions, especially in politics, you've got to be very careful, but I predict that the wheels will come off Reform, and to me, the sooner the better. Because if the wheels come off and we get something brand new that has the pulling power of Reform but doesn't have the baggage and doesn't have the problems with Nigel and Zia Youssef, I think we've got something that could really make a difference in the country. And Rupert Lowe has played an absolute blinder today. And I think anyone that has known about the so-called grooming scandal, and because this is going on YouTube, I can't use the other word that I'd like to use, but the so-called grooming scandal, knows that it is still going on, knows that the scale of it will probably not be known unless and until we get a national public inquiry. And Rupert Lowe has today announced that he will get funding for a national public inquiry. Now, whether he's been speaking to Elon Musk and Elon Musk is going to write a check for that, because I know that Elon was very vexed with that. And I think it was Elon put out a post, or it was Elon's dad, one of the two, explaining why Elon felt so strongly about it. It's because his granny was a woman from Liverpool who basically was a working class girl, worked very hard, salt of the earth type lady. And he said if she'd have been a young girl in the 90s, 2000s or 2010s, that she could well have fallen victim to these monsters that have literally robbed the lives of a generation of young women in the United Kingdom. So he's announced that he's going to get the funding for a national public. I think that's fantastic. I think that's absolutely brilliant news. Now, where that leaves Nigel, where that leaves the establishment, it leaves them with egg on their faces that one MP is going to go and get the funding and launch this public inquiry. Now, obviously, it's not going to have the same teeth as a government-led inquiry, but it is still going to be a national inquiry. And I think for anybody that's interested in this, as you all know, I worked on, was it the first 4 ROB films that we did with Tommy about 3 or 4 years ago, and from what I learned, and the young women, the very brave young women I spoke to, this is needed. This is needed because they need answers and they need justice. So that is a very, very positive move by Rupert Lowe. And I think as Rupert develops as a politician without the shackles of Reform, it's going to become very, very interesting where his journey goes and where it ends up. And like I've said at the beginning of the video, I want to see something, whether it's a party, whether it's a group of independents, whether it's a coalition of parties, doesn't matter. All I want is my country saved. I'm not interested in any of the nonsense. I'm not interested in the psychodrama. I'm not interested in all the backbiting. I just want to see my country saved. That's always been my motivation. And anyone that knows me, that really knows me, knows that's what it is. So let's hope that Rupert and Ben and some of these other rock stars manage to pull it together and pull an old 70s supergroup of right-wing politicians together to win that next election and change everything, because it needs to go deep. They need to do what Trump's doing. They need to fire a lot of people. They need to change a lot of things. They need to close down the quangos. They need to reform the police. There's so much needs done. And I've said this for years, the next election is an absolutely crucial election for the United Kingdom. It's literally the difference between the destruction of our country and the salvation of our country. And of course that brings us on to a whole lot of other things like spiritual things and so on and so forth. But we need to get it right. So what I would suggest is that if you're a Reform member, you start putting pressure on your representatives, you start putting pressure on the leadership, because the best outcome of this is that there's a coalition that includes the vast majority of Reform. I think Nigel and Tyson and Yusuf have to go. I think they've got to be gone. But if something can rise like a phoenix from the ashes, that's exactly what the country needs. So that's what I think. I think Rupert's playing a blinder. He's standing very, very strong, and you don't get to be a multi-millionaire businessman by being a snowflake. So he's standing up to the bullying, he's standing up to the intimidation. I think he's doing a great job. One thing I never do, and people always tell me I should do it, is ask everybody to like and subscribe. So I'm going to do that. Try and remember to do that at the end of every video. So if you could like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video if you liked it with your friends. And also, I'm going to put a couple of links in the description below. If you want to support what I do financially, feel free. There's a couple of links there that you can click. If you don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine as well. Obviously, the more I can afford to do this in a more sort of permanent basis, the better it is and the better content I can get and so on and so forth. That's entirely up to you guys. The links are there. Feel free to do it. I'm going to be developing a lot of stuff over the next few weeks and months as I kind of refocus what I'm doing and try to do more videos, more content that you guys love. And again, we'll see where that all goes and where it takes us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.